Welcome to RGBA, colorful tech news and reviews. This is episode 92. My name is Alexandre Valliere-Lagacé, and I'm joined by my co-host, Terminal. Alright, so this week, I think we only have one topic. No follow-up, no reviews, no gadgets, no apps corner, no adventure corner. Just a good old single news item.
Yep. So last week was WWDC. So I guess we're going to talk about that pretty much the whole show.
I know I was about to talk about mushrooms.
Mushrooms? I hate mushrooms.
There you go. Topic closed. That's it for this week. Thank you, guys.
Have a nice week.
All right. So, yeah, it was WWDC. So that big yearly event where Apple unveils a ton of software and sometimes hardware changes to their platforms. They invite all developers around the world, thus the worldwide in the name. And they have a major keynote where all the execs go on stage and explain all the different features in their different OSs. And that's what we got. And just before we dive into all the changes that we feel should be named and mentioned, what is your initial impression of the WWDC right when the show ended and today?
When it ended, I was glad, I guess. It was okay. Nothing special, nothing extraordinary, no one more thing, but overall good. And it's still overall good. Well, it's maybe a bit better since I've been on the betas because you convinced me a couple days after, and it's super solid. It's actually the same as 11.4. It's even better than 11.4.
Yeah. For me, I'm always so excited during the event because for me, it's like Christmas. You unveil packages, presents after presents after presents, and it's all the fun stuff is there. So I'm kind of on hype. And then the following days, you listen to podcasts, you read the news, you find all the little details that were not mentioned that are as important. And then a week later, you kind of the whole hype died down, and now you can actually reflect and know exactly how you feel. So for me, on the first day, I was super excited. There were very, very few leaks. We had a leak for dark mode, and the whole marzipan thing leaked, but that's not really what it is right now, or maybe. So other than these two things, the rest was basically brand new things. So I was pretty happy. I really like when those events have no leaks, especially if there's no software leaks like we had for the HomePod firmware that revealed everything from the September event. But in this case, it was not the case. It was very great. And 1 week later, in a couple of days, today, how do I feel? I feel fine. It's a good release. It's going to be interesting, but it's not like out of this world and crazy and will change the way we work and we use our devices. I feel like most of those features were features that people worked on like in the past years, but they just never got to release for some reason. Maybe they had enough features in the previous years. And if we are to follow the rumors that says that this year was a year of bug fixing, so they had more time to do bug fixes, I can see how they brought back features that were put on ice for maybe a year or two. And that's why we have a lot of smaller features, but many of them. And things like dark mode, that's not something that was just decided like 6 months ago. They probably had this in the play for many, many months, if not years. So they just decided to add it this year. So it's a good release, but it's nothing super crazy impressive, I would say.
Here, I just reshared in Slack what we were asking for in the last show. So you wanted a new MacBook Pro with new keyboard and CPU, a promise of a Mac Mini and a MacBook, and a teaser of the new Mac Pro. So
0 out of 3. I'm so good.
Yeah, so basically, all you wanted was hardware, and they made it clear that today was, well, not today, but when they did the keynote, that it was a software WWDC.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, well, like I said, I went out of this world. This was super far fetched. I wanted it to be crazy, and because sometimes you get one of those, and if you get one of your requests, even though it's crazy and out of this world, it's it's very great to have. So I was hoping, but no, I not even close.
Okay, so I wanted Rockslide software, which is pretty vague and not really like, we won't know until Christmas or something. iOS dark mode we didn't get, and group messages we got, but it's not really what we wanted.
Yeah, you mean like they are in our group, but not in a single message. Like if you send me 3 texts, and I get 3 notifications that are stacked, but not a single notification with all 3 text bits.
It's almost more annoying.
Yeah, we'll get there once we get to iOS. All right, so let's start with the first OS, which is watchOS. So for watchOS, we got a couple new things. Nothing like groundbreaking. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got the audio control API. So there's going to be more control for app developers to use the crown for controlling audio. That's great. The second one, that's a weird one because it was announced in January when they announced the Apple Watch, the first version. And it never shipped. So it's a walkie-talkie feature where you can, using your watch as a walkie-talkie, send audio messages to your friends and they reply back. So I'm not sure how that's going to be received because the walkie-talkie are kind of like obnoxious at heart. So,
yeah.
So like you're just doing your own thing and then you receive, I don't know, like your wrist buzz and then you start hearing a message. I'm guessing you won't need to acknowledge the message. It's going to play by itself and maybe not in the right setting. I don't know. It's a weird one. What do you think?
It's basically like, in messages, you can just bring up the phone to your ear and talk, and it's going to sound like an audio clip.
Yep.
It's basically that, but on the watch now as like a button, talk, and send. But I don't think, I didn't even remember that they announced this in 2014?
Yeah.
No.
It was, 2015. In January, they did announce the watch before it shipped in April. That's when they announced the walkie-talkie feature. And I even saw old screenshots circulate on Twitter about this.
Yeah, from the keynote, but I didn't remember, and I don't think we really missed this feature.
Not really. The second one is pretty nice. Starting workouts automatically. So that's pretty cool. So if you forget to start a workout or if you forget to end it, it's going to be smart enough to understand that something happened and you want to I think you can trim the beginning and end, right?
Yeah, you can trim when it started and when it finished.
Yeah, so that's great. It's almost smart enough. But it's better than nothing. Don't get me wrong. I like that this can be a thing. Because you and me, we both did workouts without starting them, and this was kind of wasted against our rings. So it's gonna be fun to adjust when you're too quickly running or too quickly like doing your exercise and then realizing midway that you didn't start the workout.
Yeah, I'm guessing they can do this since they're better with battery and all that. Because normally when you start a workout, it really triggers the heart rate monitor and all the sensors like a lot more often to get a more accurate reading of your workout. So what they're just going to detect, oh, I think my master just started running, so I better start like pinging for heartbeats every second or so.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the way it's going to react. So more battery always allows you to do better things over time.
I'm surprised they didn't do anything about sleep tracking.
Yeah, I'm guessing they might be just on the edge. Like the battery life is good enough to do a full day and a full night, but maybe people, they probably have numbers for that. Maybe, I don't know, like the top 5% of users that really use their Apple Watch, they do like 3 or 4 workout per day. And if you do that, you might not have enough battery life to do the whole night. So I'm guessing it's probably a feature for next year. New CPUs will allow to have maybe a slower core that's going to be used during the night, since you move a lot less and you don't need access to your screen. Actually, you don't want the screen to wake up at all. So there will probably be a sleep mode where once you activate that, you get a slow core, your watch wastes like 10% battery night overnight, and is able to track your sleep. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be like a next year kind of thing. The following one was interesting. Having Siri watch face, allowing for integration with third-party apps. So we already have the watch face. We have what's coming up in your day for your calendars. You have a bunch of things that can be fetched from your emails that are time sensitive. That's all great. But now developers will be able to add some kind of cards or information to a list that's going to be processed by this Siri watch face and trickled up at the proper time and during the day. So that's just a legit thing. Still know nothing about custom watch faces. More and more, I think we'll never get those. I think Apple will try to be the one that's going to provide us with those watch face forever. And we'll might have a couple more watch faces with some level of customizability, like this Siri watch face is getting this year. But I don't think we'll have any custom watch face ever.
Did you ever use it, this Siri watch face?
I tried since the event, but I don't like it. I'm always going back to my modular watch face with colors and everything.
Okay, you're modular. I'm a utility.
Do I get the right one? Yeah, modular, yeah. Yeah, modular. I got my meetings in the middle because I got two lines. One line for the meeting itself, and the second line is where it takes its place. So for me, it's our meeting rooms at the office. So it's easy to me to see my meetings. I got my time, date, my rings, and carrot weather. And I had my heartbeat since my little incident that brought me to the hospitals a couple months ago. Because I wanted to check my heartbeat quickly, regularly after the event, so I can monitor my heart rate. But yeah, I could remove that and put something else in place, but I don't really use my watch for much more than that.
Okay.
And on the hardware side, we didn't have any new hardware, but we know that this WatchOS version will not be coming to the Watch Series 0. So this is the time where we sing a big rest in peace for that Series 0 watch. No more, it will be updated. No more, it will receive new features. So that's it. WatchOS 4, it's the end for this watch. Let's do a moment of silence for it. If you have Overcast, it will only last 2 seconds, but...
Yeah.
Nerding out with the deceased hardware. All right, so after that, we moved on to the core OS of the lineup, the one that Apple usually puts more effort in.
tvOS.
It's used by, tvOS, exactly. Everything's in tvOS now. Now, iOS. Let's move to iOS. Let's keep tvOS for the next one. So this one had lots of nice new features. I think the main thing is they're doubling down on performance. And that's going to be an interesting thing. The same year that they released the battery insights in iOS, we have now a release that is performance optimized for older devices. And for the first time in ever, the same devices from last year will be supported this year. So this means it's going to be 5 years of iPhones being able to receive iOS 12. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And how many people don't upgrade because they say it makes the device slower? For once, we're going to be able to say them like, no, this one actually is supposed to make your device faster. So that's a very good point. I can't wait to see it on. I'm trying to force my friend that has an SC to upgrade to the beta just to see what he feels like. Is it faster or whatnot?
Yeah, my daughter has a new iPhone SE, so as soon as the public beta comes out, I'll add her device to the beta. Because right now I do have a bunch of apps that are crashing. Like for some reason the GPS doesn't work in Waze and Google Maps, so not really useful for directions. So
maybe that's a new feature, not a bug.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, no new GPU. One thing that they did for that performance changes is not just optimized stuff. Like you can get like 70% faster camera open time for when you swipe right or left. I don't remember. Left on an iPhone 6S. I think they used for the demo on iPhone 6. But the cool thing is the way that the CPU kicks off and does the processing. They were able to manipulate the CPU curve basically, and instead of reaching the full potential, later, like after maybe half a second or 1 second later, they try to get the CPU to spike quickly to really process whatever it has to process quicker and eventually get back down faster. So I don't think it's going to be a change in terms of battery life, because it might just be moving the actual CPU cycles closer to the action that triggered them. But I don't think it's going to require more CPU cycles. So shouldn't have an impact on battery life, but every action you're doing has a difference. I don't know if you noticed something on yours with your beta.
Well, it's pretty fast, but I don't notice that it's faster.
Okay, with my iPhone 7s, 7 Plus, I did see a huge difference, especially when you're double tapping to swipe between apps and like launching an app, going back to the home screen, launching another app. It's way faster. There were some slowdown that I've noticed since iOS 11 that were not there when I got the phone, which was super fast with iOS 10. But this time, I really noticed a big difference. For me, being a geek, a slight difference will be huge, because these kind of things I notice, and these kind of things get on my nerves. So maybe if you have an iPhone 7 Plus, you won't notice it as much. But for me, it's clearly a big jump.
Okay, I don't do the multitasking thing anymore. I just swipe on the gesture bar at the bottom to swipe between apps directly.
And that doesn't have any performance enhancement?
No, it was already like super fast.
Okay. Moving on to screen time. So this is something, well, they say that they've been working on this for years. They might have been working on the APIs that is in the underlying system for years, but I don't think the feature is that old. Apple came into the spotlight recently because they were not offering enough features to control addiction to devices. Mostly coming from teachers groups and parents group and investors. In the States, they have lots of teacher pension plan that have lots of Apple shares. Therefore, they're able to kind of go public with requests. And because they're major investors in the Apple portfolio, basically, they have their voice heard. And that's one thing that they mention. It's one thing that Tim Cook says they will be looking into. And we now have a feature that allows you to see reports with numbers of exactly how much time you spend in what app and how many times you pick up your phone, how many times you spend on each app. And then you even have the feature to limit that time. You can set a limit per app or per types of app. And then when that time is gone, you get a notification saying, okay, you've been on it for the amount of time you planned. Can you now do something else or whatever?
So this is like the only feature that's kind of buggy in iOS 12. It loads, but it's like slow to load, and it's laggy when you scroll because it's still like populating the table cells. But other than that, the whole system is really nice, and it looks weird a bit still. Like, it doesn't feel iOS. It feels like I don't know how to explain it, but it feels like a beta feature. So I'm guessing that it's missing polish or something, because it's really not the nicest pages and interface, I find.
It feels like your iCloud storage progress bar on steroids, basically.
Right.
You have the same color bar, and you have vertical lines with different percentage. And like you're saying, this is very buggy for me. I was able to use it a couple of days, but now I can't have any data since last Saturday. So it's going to be almost a week where I have no data. So I'm guessing maybe if I reboot my device, maybe I would get something. But for now, I hit on that today numbers, I have nothing. If I hit the past 7 days, I only have data until last Saturday. So it's not the best.
Okay, mine works, but it takes like a second or two to like populate all the information.
Yeah, mine flickers a lot, but nothing really happens.
And I have
That's fair.
I don't really understand. Like, there's in the most used, there's apps, and then there's like categories of apps. But like social networking, what's included in social networking.
I think these are the App Store categories.
But then I have like Tweetbot right under it. I have social networks at 6.45 hours and then Tweetbot at 5 hours. So is Tweetbot included in social networking, or why is it a different line item here? So
Yeah, I think it is because it's easier to set up limits when you go by category, especially if your kid, for example, just adds a new social app, and then you have to remember to go back to the settings for that new app and set a timer. It's easier to say, okay, you have like 2 hours per day of social media, and then do something else. So that's the kind of thing that will be pretty useful for parents. I know for me, for example, now that my daughter has an iPhone SE, I always am able to control the Wi-Fi in the house, but now she has a data plan and she's sharing my data. So all of a sudden, all of my limits that I put in place for the Wi-Fi, they don't work because if the Wi-Fi goes out, she still has LTE. So this is the kind of feature that are going to allow me to put maybe bedtime hours, because sometimes those kids, they go to the room, you think they're going to bed, but then you pass by an hour later and they're still in the dark, their face stuck to their little screen. So that's the kind of thing that you need to worry as a parent. You'll know that very soon.
Yeah. And it was a bit harder to connect to the internet when I was a kid, because I had the 56K modem there going, ling, 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 ling. Tyler, what are you doing? Nothing, nothing, sleeping.
It's a music, it's a song, Mom, it's a song.
I'm trying to go to bed.
Hey boy, yeah. All right, moving on to battery screen. What's new there?
I don't know. Let me open it. There's something
you added
new
it to the show notes. I don't remember.
Oh yeah, they have like nice little graphs that look a lot like screen time again, and the same thing.
Oh yeah,
it's like nicer than it used to be. That's it.
Yeah, the consumption graph where your battery percentage goes down and back up when you charge. Especially for me, when I use my car, I always plug my phone, so I get a little spike, a little 10% higher, then goes back down, so you can see when during the day is your battery going down. So let's say you are using your phone for actual work, okay, or your iPad eventually. You can easily say which apps are using most of your processing power and battery life. So that's going to be interesting to see if you're doing some Word document, let's say, and then the next week you're doing some pages, and you know that you spent 4 hours in pages. You'll be able to see how much is pages uses battery versus like Google Docs or another solution. So that's pretty interesting. Then they finally did something regarding Do Not Disturb. It's not just a feature that you enable by default. It's not just a feature that you enable when you're driving or disable in our case, because most often our companion uses our phone and then they keep getting bugged that they cannot use the phone because they're driving.
Or even
whatever.
worse, it triggers in the train for me. So that was annoying.
Oh yeah, right. That's even worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something that I quickly disabled. I found the idea interesting, but I don't find the way it was implemented properly. But now we have more features. What are those?
So now you can how do you call it? They have a new setting called bedtime, like bedtime mode. I didn't quite get what it is yet, but I think it won't, like the applications, the notifications won't even show on your home screen. So basically, when you set this bedtime mode, like at night, you can schedule it as you can do already with the Do Not Disturb, but the notifications won't even pop up. So if you wake up in the middle of the night to go pee and you just tap your phone to see what's going on, it won't even show you anything. So I don't know why, but I guess it's good. Like, just don't look at your phone, but I guess people can't control themselves. But anyways, it's a feature.
Is that new?
Yeah.
People can control their addictions?
Yeah, just put the phone in the kitchen or something. But whatever. Well, it's a new feature.
You probably saw it on Twitter also. Like, a bunch of people are having trouble sleeping and they're constantly tweeting. Like, that usage of a phone during the night when you were supposed to sleep is not a good thing, because it basically wakes you up. So going on Twitter and saying that who else is not sleeping is not the best thing out there. So this kind of alleviates this problem. You're not going to be pulled into Twitter or Facebook or whatever because there's a notification waiting for you. You're just going to see the time and the date, and that's it.
Right. And then also there's a new notification management if you want. It's like kind of included with do not disturb. Like when on your lock screen, when you force push, or I think they changed the name, you can manage how do you want these notifications to be handled. Like say I have a notification here for Sleep Plus Plus that told me a bedtime reminder last night. I can select turn it off so this will never appear on my home screen, or I can like deliver quietly so I don't want it to make noise anymore but just appear on my home screen, or I can just jump directly to the settings of the notifications for the Sleep Plus Plus app. So it's all notifications are easier to manage and faster to manage because you can act on the notifications that you have on your screen right now. So that's pretty good. So you don't have to remember like, oh, right, let me dismiss this Sleep Plus Plus like notification and go back in the settings and then try to set them as I want so I don't get disturbed. But it's all done on the lock screen now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's not perfect. Like we were quick to install. Well, I was quick to install the beta, and then you were quick to send me 3 iMessage in a row to see how this behaves. If all 3 small, like a 1-word or 2-word text message, would they be joined together in a single notification like they used to be, like iOS 4, 5, 6,
yeah,
whatever.
like 6, I think.
Yeah, and they don't. Sadly, you get a stack of notifications. That's better, but you still have 3 notifications separately, which really sucks. Like
It takes
should
up
really,
a bunch of screen.
yeah, and you would be quick to dismiss the whole hey sent, look at this sent, link sent by one swipe if you could. Like now you have to either destroy every notification you have or like go one by one, which is not better, really.
It's the same thing.
Moving on to the feature that makes me really regret not having an iPhone 10. Memoji.
Yeah, but one thing about group notifications first. Like,
Yeah.
usually when I have it, like I raise my phone, it opens, and then it unlocks. And then I can not click, sorry, because there's no cursor. iOS guy, come on. I just tap on like the notifications. Say I have one from a colleague at work and then one from you. And if I want to reply to you directly, I just tap on you. But now I have to tap on the notification like stack of messages, and then it's going to expand. And then if it's a ton of notifications, I have to scroll all the way to your name and tap on your name. So for me, I'm looking to like disable this because it has absolutely no use.
Totally.
Well, for me, I don't have enough notifications on my lock screen to be annoyed because I have to scroll for multiple pages there. So
Yeah, for me, it comes in batch. Like, for example, some days I will get like recruiters on LinkedIn sending me a bunch of messages. So I'll have like maybe 5 or 6 of those. Otherwise, it's Slack messages. But when I have Slacks, rarely do I look at the notification. I basically open Slack and go team by team to clear them out and read them. So it's okay. It's an okay feature. It's a nice addition, but I think it's just a step 1. They should push this further. Like, especially for messaging apps like Slack, iMessage, especially iMessage because it's their own app. They should really merge those together. That makes no sense for me. So yeah, back to Memoji. This is cool, right?
yeah, it's pretty cool. It's the only thing that crashes the phone though. Well, crashes an app. Yeah, the messages app.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because you were asking me, it doesn't hard crash, but you have to force quit it if you want it to be working again. So you were asking me to do a Memoji for yourself, and I kept going between LinkedIn to see your picture and like the messages app to make the Memoji, and every time I'd come back in, I'd have to force quit the app because it was frozen like in the creation process of the Memoji. So that's like the only bug I have right now with iOS 12.
Cool.
But basically, it's Bitmoji, but from Apple with less settings, not settings, but less options if you want.
Yeah, no partnered brands.
Yeah, and also, no, there's just less choices.
Yeah.
Especially for guys, there's like 5 kind of haircuts, and if you don't fit, well, doesn't matter.
Tough luck.
Yeah. You better change your hairstyle before they add hairstyles.
I'm guessing their horde of designers will be probably done soon with all the new emojis for the year, and they will just jump back to this project and add a ton of stuff. Like, I'm pretty sure we're gonna see something like in iOS 12.1, 12.2, 12.3, and we'll see a ton new outfits, probably seasonal things, adding like that good old Santa beard, and I don't know, like Halloween stuff. Like, instead of having a hat, you'll get like a ghost costume or something. So it's going to be shaped with your face, so it's going to be interesting. If you have a super long nose or a super wide head, you'll see the right shape. So it's going to be interesting. So I'm sure this is just like a version 1.0, and we'll see a lot of new features. Like, for example, the one you sent for me, like, in order to choose the beard shape I have, you have to add sideburns. But like, I'm bald shaved. I'm shaved. My head is shaven. So like, I don't have any sideburns.
I can
So
take them
now
off if you want.
Ah, they're not tied to the beard? I
No.
thought they were tied to the beard.
No, they're separate. I was
yeah.
basing this off your LinkedIn picture. So look
Yeah,
at
well,
yourself on LinkedIn. This is what you look like in Memoji.
yeah, but I had hair at that time. Now the hair is gone. Yeah, so, okay, cool. So yeah, you'll fix that for me.
Yes,
Otherwise,
sir.
like, it's the same feature that we had with the animals. We have new animals, but now we have humans with it. The only difference is that you can now record for up to 30 seconds. Is that right?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, 30 seconds, and you can use them as FaceTime. So that's pretty weird, but I guess it's something fun you can try.
Yeah, you can also like put them on your body, like an emoji
Yeah, an emoji style, but with
your
head
face.
replaced. Yes. So yeah, it's gonna be fun stuff. I don't think it's gonna be a long-lasting feature where people are gonna FaceTime with their Memoji every time, but it's gonna be interesting.
I think
to
it's
see where this
exactly
goes.
like an emoji, and we're not going to talk about it in 2 weeks
Most probably, yeah.
because we already have it with Bitmoji. If you use Snapchat and ask your kids, I'm sure they have Bitmoji characters already.
Oh yeah, of course they do.
Yeah, but ask them to show you all the, or just download the app yourself there. But ask them to show you all the like personalizations you can do to your character.
I do have a Bitmoji too. I'm not that old. Yeah, it's very seasonal, very brand aware. It's like, there's a bunch of like emotions that are using your face, but then you also have like the text part. Like, you can have like "you mad bro" under your smiling Bitmoji. So that's the kind of thing I don't think we're gonna see with Memoji for now, because it's mostly head oriented. But for sure, like, if Apple starts to do brand deals, well, I'm still not sure if they're going to do it, because it's not really in their like credo of doing brands deal like that, especially because they're so big that if they do start to do brand deals, they're going to have to do brand deals with everyone. And I don't know if there's like a revenue stream for Snapchat with that, or if it's just like free stuff, but I don't really foresee like having a supreme cap on my Memoji. But the way I'm gonna see this happen more is just seasonal stuff, which will be added every release, or maybe pushed between release. I don't know if they open the door for that. We'll have to see. But yeah, still, it's gonna be, like you said, super enjoyable by everyone for 2 weeks, and then once in a while you see, oh yeah, that thing still exists.
Especially since it's only for iPhone 10.
Yeah, it's gonna take a couple of years before everyone really jumps on it.
Do you have freckles?
No.
Okay.
Just unshaven facial hair.
Okay.
All right, so iBooks is now Apple Book. So the I gets cut once again. It's nothing major there. It's just renaming, rebranding. I don't think there's going to be much to say about this. Measure Kit, which is the first app that was Sherlock during the keynote. We already had an app called Measure It, but now Apple is doing their own AR measuring tool that's built into iOS. So you have the same app that usually does the compass and the level can now also measure. So it's interesting. It's not really reliable. So I was able to measure my son. It was 1 centimeter shorter than his actual height. But when I tried to measure my daughter, she was 22 meters high.
That's pretty tall. Yeah,
that's pretty tall,
kids.
yeah. Yeah, I know. They have to bend down and crawl in the house when they're done outside.
Yeah.
So that was unexpected. A funny few minutes, but I was also using a wall which is plain. I think all of the AR stuff from Apple works better with textures. That's why they had those large wooden table with lots of textures, and you can see the seams of the wooden plank, and there were like tree nuts in the wood itself. So it was a different texture everywhere. So it was easier for your AR kit to place object on this. So I should probably try again, maybe using like a tree as a wall or something, and that could work better, I guess. And then we moved on to a couple apps that were moved from that were updated. Sorry, for iOS. Stocks and voice memo looks nicer. Works as well. Don't really know what to say about this. It's just like small updates.
Yeah, I didn't really listen either. It's just the stock app is new and it includes news or something like that. And
phasing out.
And voice memo. What do you mean phasing out? Oh yeah, of the keynote.
Yeah.
And then voice memo is just, it's new. Go look at it. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. I had other notes. For AR stuff, there's the new USDZ file format. So it's a new file format they built with Pixar. And Adobe is a partner for that. So Adobe, Pixar, Apple, they work on AR format. ARKit 2.0 is out. A better handling of vertical planes and horizontal planes. You can be multiple people sharing an AR experience together. They had this big demo at the event where using iPads, you could slingshot balls to wooden shape structures on the table. And you could play this 2-player, 3 players, whatever. So that's interesting. It opens the door for many much better AR games. So we'll have to see how this goes once everybody can do it. If we see famous tower defense game or stuff like that becomes multiplayer. So that would be interesting. I also had photos, got a small update regarding search suggestions before you're typing, and also a better classification of your photos. That's just a nice thing. There's an audiobook app, I think, that I heard this properly. Like in iBooks, you can, well, in Apple Books, you can now have audiobooks.
Can't you already do that?
Oh, maybe. Haven't opened this app in like 3 years. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let me see iBooks right here on the Mac while you speak.
Yeah. And the thing that got some applause in the room, which was okay, CarPlay now is available through the simulator. So you don't need to actually buy a physical car stereo to test CarPlay like Marco Arment did for his CarPlay integration. You can do it in the simulator now. So it's going to be much easier for developers to tackle this extra little piece of work.
And you can use Google Maps and Waze in CarPlay now too.
Yes, that's a good thing, because for my experience in the last 6 months, I've been using Waze for the last 6 months, and it's way better than Google Maps for directions. And not that it doesn't work well. It's just that the traffic data is not up to date in Google Maps. It would often tell me to go a certain route. Then I quit the app and I launch Waze. It's going to tell me to do another route, which is going to be the same amount of time. But when I pass by this suggestion that Google did, they're actually full of traffic, and the Waze knew about it. So,
but how does, like, what if everybody uses Waze? Waze isn't going to work anymore.
Why?
Well, everybody's going to take the same route anyways. I don't get how.
Well, not everybody is at the same place every time, and not everybody is at the same destination either. So it's going to be spreading the traffic across. Let's say that you go route A and it takes 15 minutes, and then you have route B, which takes 12 minutes. So when you're requesting that and you're on your way to that specific route, you'll be suggested to go route B, which is faster. But after that, if there's too much car going there, Waze will know that this 12 minutes is now 16 minutes and will start to reroute traffic to route A. So it's going to be kind of like leveling the playing field, like trying to spread the traffic across every possible ways. So it's still going to work. At one point, if there's only two route to go to your destination, and let's say you have like the FIFA going on in Montreal, like it might happen, there's going to be a time where there's just too many cars, and your only suggestion is to use the route A, which is 45 minutes instead of 15 normally, because there's just too much car. And right now it does that for me. If when I go to Montreal and I have 2 bridges that I can try, but if both bridges are super congested, then I'm going to take the one that's slightly less congested. So I might save 5 minutes from the other one, but I'm still going to be there for half an hour.
But you're not going to know. That's the problem.
No, you're not. Yep. Well, you can always have like alternate routes, but it's rarely what you need. You really want the fastest one.
Yeah, but I mean, say it tells you, oh, take this bridge, it's going to be faster, but you don't know if it's faster or not because you're not on you didn't take the other route. So that's why I used to use Waze in the beginning there to check for cops and all that, and it was too much of a hassle and what do you really save? Time? You don't know, so it's not quantifiable. I don't know if I save time. I didn't take the other route, so, and I can't gauge it by seeing the other bridge and saying, looks like they have a lot of cars there too, so maybe I'm faster here, and I don't use those things. I just take the fastest route in Apple Maps and gauge it from there.
Yeah, my wife has the same issue with Waze. Like, it tells me to go this way, and she's like, yeah, but how do you know if it's really the good way? Like, well, I don't know. Waze knows. If they tell me to do this, I'm going to listen to them. Yeah, but there's traffic. Yeah, but there's probably more traffic the other way.
Yeah, that's probably. You don't know.
No, you don't know. True,
Yeah.
You don't know. Google Maps does a better way of showing you alternate routes. So you have like your destination, you have your route that's like in dark blue, but you also have a pale blue alternate routes that are probably like plus 4 minutes, plus 10 minutes, but you can at least see. But Waze doesn't do that. It always goes down to this shortest route, and that's what it shows you. So maybe it's an option that they can add in the future. We'll have to see, but I trust it for now. We forgot one thing for FaceTime.
Ah.
Yeah,
one or
FaceTime.
32 things.
Yeah, exactly. Group FaceTime is now working up to 32 people at the same time.
Why 32? I just find it funny, but
I don't know.
It's a 3, what is it, 8, like a 4-bit thing there or something. A 4-bit joke in there.
Know.
There's a bit joke in there somewhere.
Probably, yeah. Because I don't think at this point it's a matter of technological limitation. It's like displaying, when you're trying to display 16 people together, how hard is it to get to 32? Maybe you can get to 64. Maybe that number will increase over time. Maybe like next year they're going to have like new CPUs that are better handling small thumbnails of people laughing in the background, and it's going to be 64. I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be an 8-bit system, and they can go all the way to
256.
Yeah.
That was going to be fun. Yeah, I don't know why the limit. It's interesting to see what this entails, because if you ever use like those company group chat messaging video conference thingy, you're pretty used to the fact that you have a row of thumbnails or icons or whatever, and when somebody speaks, his face is brought up to the main viewer in the large portion, and you can see them when they're talking. So FaceTime does exactly the same thing. Like, you have a bunch of squares around with people's face, and then when you're speaking, you get into the prime light if you want.
It's not working yet, right? In the current beta.
I don't have 32 friends to test it with.
But do you have another friend?
Yeah, I have another friend.
You need 3.
Yeah, but I haven't tested it, so I don't know.
But I think I heard on Twitter that it doesn't work. So if you know somebody at work that has iOS 12 installed, let's try it.
Yeah, well, I have an iOS department of developers, so they all have iPhone 10 and iOS 12, so I could check that next week.
Okay.
All right, so I think that's about it for iOS. Moving on to the major release, the release that everyone was waiting for, the one that is what makes Apple or what doesn't make Apple. If they fail on tvOS, and then Apple is doomed. So you have 3 features. Well, I noted down 3 features, and nothing major. The first one that doesn't even apply to us, because the one from last year still doesn't work here, is the single sign-on. If you single sign on your provider networks, then your Apple TV would know about it. But this year, they released 0 sign-on. So Apple, I don't know, they updated the bridge between them and a certain list of providers. And once you're logged in your iTunes account, you don't have to log into any third-party network, and everything comes pre-signed in. So it's an interesting feature. We still don't have, like I said, the one from last year, so I don't think we're going to get this one soon either. The two things that are more important, but then again, not for everyone, Dolby Atmos support. So the Apple TV will now be able to push sound that is encoded using the Atmos standard. This will probably come through iTunes, I'm guessing. There's not many apps or content that is Atmos enabled on the store or like in Netflix or whatever. Right now, it's mostly 5.1. Is it because it wasn't supported before and now that is they're going to add it? Or if it's something that another limitation of some kind? But in short, if you have a movie in from iTunes that is Atmos compatible and you have a sound system that is Atmos compatible, mind you that this is 7.1 and above in terms of speaker setup, which is not every house and every living room, then you could benefit from that, but it's very far-fetched. And the last one that is kind of interesting is the cable box replacement. So instead of having that god-awful cable box from your provider for watching TV and recording shows, Apple TV can now be your replacement cable box. So you can use your Apple TV with an app from your provider and have the same features, given that the provider does the app and does the features. In Quebec, we have Bell, which you used to have in your condo, and you were able to use the app as the recorder and viewer of channels.
I still do.
Yeah, but you still need to have, because I asked them on Twitter and they replied, it doesn't work for Fibe TV, but it works for the regular TV or something like that. So if you only have like Fibe, you need the receiver, and the Apple TV can be the second box, but it cannot be the main box. So we might see this in the coming months. I don't know if that's a good enough feature for Bell, but eventually this could replace the sluggish boxes from providers.
Okay, so I think I know why, because they want you to pay for the TV, I guess.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Because you can't have like only internet and then use your Apple TV to have the Bell app as a receiver.
No, but you would pay for a TV plan, but you don't need any machine from them.
Right, because I'm pretty sure the recordings are only on the Bell receiver and you stream it on your Apple TV.
Oh, yeah, that's probably why. They
I don't
want to
think they
manage
can
that
save
cloud.
like how do you call it, like tvOS apps. They can't save big amounts of data on the Apple TV.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think I have like a 1 terabyte in my receiver, or 500 gigs or something, and my Apple TV is only 64. So
you're right. That's probably why. Interesting.
Because the view recordings thing is new-ish. Because when it shipped initially, you couldn't watch recordings on an Apple TV.
True.
And it's super slow to watch recordings on the Apple TVs. So I'm pretty sure, just thinking about it now, it's streaming off my receiver on the main floor.
Yeah, and it's probably not made for that specific purpose. So you have like probably a very slow box that is slow to render and slow to encode and send over the network. So it's going to be super slow. That's why.
And when you try like skipping commercials, it's way too slow. So I hardly watch recordings on the Apple TV because it's just too slow.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, I understand why now. But still, those are nice features. But like I said, maybe 1% of the owners of Apple TV will enjoy any of these, and probably less than 0.01% will enjoy all three of them. Because right now for the cable box replacement, it was only one provider in the States that was compatible. Dolby Atmos, well, we know that there's not that many living rooms equipped with 7.1 or plus speaker setups. And so if you have all three features, then you're super lucky, I guess. All right, moving on to macOS. Before we go down feature by feature, what is your overall feeling of macOS in the state it was presented to us?
Solid update. I'm happy with the update, and that's it. What are you more excited about, the iOS update or macOS update, or even? I think I'm even.
Yeah, I'm more excited for macOS because it finally shows that they do have an interest in the platform. most of what they proposed on the platform is not work being done directly on the platform. Like, for example, like dark mode, like it's something that they probably did years back, but never really implemented and kept it for a slow year. Changing background, that's nice, but it's not a major feature. And the rest is all stuff that they inherited from the other OSs. So apart from doing a bridge or a conversion of some kind, it's not new. Like Apple file system, ding, was something very interesting because it was specifically made for all devices, including computers, and it was a big endeavor. But all of those new features, they're interesting, but they're not huge endeavors, and most of them are inherited by the other platforms. So I'm interesting to see that there's changes, but I'm still skeptical into the amount of effort they want to put in the platform. So this is a nice promise. It's a nice thing they can deliver, but I still don't think they're super behind the platform, and there's going to be amazing new features next year with macOS. I think it's just going to be like a small evolution. So macOS Mojave. That's Mojave. So that's the name. It's the desert, I guess, on the West Coast. I think the most interesting feature is the dark mode, seriously.
Yeah. And the new Mac App Store.
Yeah, that's going to be
like, we
good,
still care. It's just a little reminder. Like,
yeah,
we know
we
it's
still
here.
care. We still care, but we wouldn't have done this if it was already done for the iOS. You see what I mean? Like, they already have the team in place for iOS apps. So by asking them to do macOS app features and everything, it's already there. So it's just a matter of giving it more resources. It's not, okay, we're going to do something that's out of this world, a brand new Mac App Store, and the iOS App Store stays the same like it was for 10 years. You see where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
It's a new thing, but it's not something that they did out of the blue just for macOS. Changing background will change using the time of the day. So if you have that Mojave sand dune, it's going to become darker over the day, and in the evening it's going to be dark, and at night it's going to be at nighttime. So it's cute. Not the first time I've seen this. It's probably going to be interesting to see what open source software comes out of that, or if somebody's going to reverse engineer the way that the images are set, because anybody can go anywhere in the world and take pictures every hour, and then you can make the same kind of thing. So hopefully either we can extend this with a new screensaver type of format, or maybe somebody will do the exact same thing running in your menu bar.
See, I didn't even know about this feature until you just talked about it.
Oh, yeah?
No.
Okay, yeah. You phased out there. So continuity with phone. What was that part about?
The what?
Continuity with the phone. There was something about the continuity that I did not note.
But it's not in the show notes.
Yeah, it's on my personal show notes.
Aha.
Yeah, I think there was something about continuity being enhanced for some reason. So
like, it works?
Oh, burn.
No, it works pretty well for me. Sometimes.
Yeah, me too sometimes.
Maybe the copy paste are going to fix that you don't press paste and wait for like 2 minutes before it loads.
Jeez, that's the worst, because all my workflows are based on the clipboard, because that's an easy way for me to transfer data from the Mac into the iPhone. But it's always like a good solid 2 seconds of wait before you get your content. So yeah, hopefully that's going to be fixed. I'm just hopeful that it was just a bug. Also, why is AirDrop so long to load? Like, I'm in the Finder, I open AirDrop and I just wait, and then it takes a good 4 or 5 seconds to see my face. Come on, I'm on a network
because you have a
like,
big face and it's long to load.
Yeah, exactly. It's pixel by pixel, so it's super long. It's a 56K modem that does the work. I don't understand it. It's so long. Like, I'm on my local network at home. I've got like at most 15 devices connected. 2 of them are Apple devices.
15.
It shouldn't take that long.
15 devices.
Yeah, well, the smart switches and everything.
I know.
It keeps on adding. Anyways, so Apple News is a thing for macOS. Stocks app is a thing. Voice memos is a thing. There's a HomeKit app now. So all of these are from the Marzipan project. They didn't want to call it that. They didn't want to say that that's what they were really doing. But basically, it's a way for developers to port their iOS apps to macOS. And Apple is adding support for keyboard, mouse pointers, and stuff like that. Your apps will look the same as they do, like I would say, like on a big iPad. It's just that you will be able to control them with your mouse and your keyboard and stuff like that. So they're gonna have a little window around them, and it's gonna be pretty nice, I guess. That by itself is not the cool thing. The cool thing for me is that this gives a reason for developers to actually work on a better iOS app for iPads, optimized for iPad Pros, for big iPad Pros, and also optimized for the Mac with very minimal effort. So that's pretty interesting for that. But the apps themselves, they're nothing very interesting. Apple is simply dogfooding their work so that before sending it to the public, like they did with the iCloud sync crap, they are now testing it properly and fixing all the bugs and implementation details to have it work fine. Privacy, that's a new thing. We now have a lot more privacy in Safari, but I think it's not just that, it's also like a large endeavor, meaning that when an app will need your camera, it's going to ask for it. Instead of right now, you do have contacts request that pops up once in a while. Not that many, but that's basically the only one. Maybe also system level stuff for accessibility, but that's the only kind of warning you have. But now with this new update with Mojave, you have more of those warnings, like access to your microphone, access to your camera. So apps with bundles that are trying to spy on you using your GPS location, for example. These were all raise requests for those information. So that's a great thing. I really love that. And Safari takes this a step further. They're actually blocking out of the gate all of those share buttons, like Facebook share button, Twitter share button, and everything, because people didn't know, but this is how they can track you around the web. Like you go from site to site and they have a cookie set on the Facebook domain. And because this website loads a code from Facebook, it has access to the same cookies. So it knows that you went to this site and this pages, and then you moved over this. And they can also scan the content of the page to have keywords. So that's all they are basically tracking you around the web. And this little feature in Safari will block those buttons by default.
Yeah, because when we get asked to add that to a web page, we just take a big chunk of code from Facebook and we dump it on our site, and it shows a little button. So all that code is like used to phone back home and relay all the information that it can get from the user back to Google, so Google can set up their profile and start serving you ads that are more relevant for you. And the whole Google thing is that.
Exactly. So it's going to be interesting to see how they respond to that. I don't think there's going to be lots of possible replies, meaning that that's how Safari is and that's it for now. You will never see that in Chrome for sure.
Yeah, no, it's like against Chrome.
Yeah, that's going to not happen.
We might see Firefox though.
Yeah, that could be one thing, because Firefox released Firefox Focus recently, which is an iOS privacy-aware browser. Then they moved those features into their Mind Firefox app. So they could trickle down the same way. If Apple does it, Firefox might do it. But then again, what is that, like 20% of the market at most?
Not even.
So not even, yeah. So it's not a major move, but still, we have to do it. So people become aware of it. The more we discuss these issues, the more we raise up those concerns, people will be more knowledgeable. And also one thing that they removed, I think it was still there with Higher Sierra, the Facebook and Twitter integrations into the internet accounts section. So that was a way, I don't know how much Apple knew about this and what really were the impacts of that, but you could set up your Twitter and your Facebook directly inside your OS for iOS and macOS to, I guess, share Twitter more easily from photos and iMovie and whatever. But I'm pretty sure there's probably some code there that calls back home and sends back data
everything.
To these. Yeah, not everything, because Apple would have pulled the plug earlier, but they might have been able to be a bit sneaky and get some information back. I don't know what extent of it is.
Yeah.
Or maybe they were not able to, and it just looked bad that Apple had those integration, when at the same time they're planning to remove and close all the gaps regarding privacy on the web. So it might just be that they didn't want to have a mixed message there. But anyways, they're not there anymore in Mojave, and iOS already removed them, I think, with iOS 11. So it's a better thing for everyone, I'm guessing.
Yep. You're right. They're still there in High Sierra, Twitter and Facebook, LinkedIn.
Yeah. And finally, the thing that we really like, the new Mac App Store. It's going to be, like we said, we have features, but everything that is system level, like all of the OS update, they are now moved back into the settings app. System preference, sorry. Keep on calling this settings, I don't know why. So you'll have in the, like you used to have in the days of, what was that, like 10.8, 10.9, 10.10, you had a system updates section, and that's where you had all of your updates. So that's going to be moved there again. The App Store will only be for apps. I'm really hoping that it's not just features, but that they redid the whole app itself, because I remember not long ago you had an update for Tweetbot to change the thumbnails to be small. You tried to do the update, you did it, and you didn't have the feature. Then you realized that for some reason, even though you installed it, it wasn't really installed, and you had to reinstall it again. So there's a bunch of problems with the Mac App Store. So I'm hoping that this feature will change most of that.
Man, it wasn't for the thumbnails, unfortunately. It was for the share buttons there, like the retweet and the reply and the...
Oh yeah, you would have like a bar that's always there, or that's only appearing when you hover your cursor. I think.
Big thumbnails are still there.
No, but you have the small thumbnails now with 3.0.3.
No.
Yeah.
Yes. You're sure?
I sent it to you over Slack yesterday.
I was kind of MIA yesterday. Oh yes, I have it here.
3.0.3.
Yes. Better. You can now display timeline media as a small thumbnail. I'm updating right now.
I still have Tweetbot 2 on my Mac. I should probably remove that.
Yeah, me too.
2 Tweetbots, it's too much. And I forgot one thing. The desktop, we have the changing background, but you also now have the feature of stacks, which comes back from macOS 9, I guess, or 8 or 7, where instead of having a mosaic of icons on your desktop, you can now hit, I don't know what the shortcut is, or if it's just like a gesture on the corner of the screen or something, a hot corner, but all of your files will now be grouped into categories like documents, photos, videos, and I guess other types of files, folders, and moved into stacks. So you'll see that your icons are now stacked into uneven middle stacks, like the name says. And instead of having like 150 icons, you'll now have like 5 to 10 icons, I guess, on the screen. So it's nice. It's a way to move the file around and not hide your wallpaper. But people always had a solution for that. It's called a folder called Stuff, and everything is in there. So I don't see this as a major feature. It just hides the problem instead of fixing it. And screenshots, yes. What is new about screenshots?
It's basically the iOS screenshot. So you're going to have an option to mark it up and do a bunch of stuff and share it directly from like the screenshot pane.
Yep, that's pretty cool.
They also added basically what you can do in preview. They added all that in Finder.
Yeah, true.
So you can mark up PDFs and do stuff instead of it's just a better quick view. Like you remember how you don't remember because you're doing it now, but it's not in the past yet. But you can hit spacebar when you're to preview an item in Finder, and that's how I view pictures. I hit spacebar and then drag the corners the biggest possible, and then start going through the hours to go through all the pictures. But now there's a cleaner quick view that added all the annotation stuff
and removes the cover flow from what was that, iTunes 8 or something?
Yeah, or something. Probably even older.
Yeah, it was there before the iPhone. It was pretty weird. But yeah, that's all good things. I think that is it, right?
Yeah. Did we talk about Siri shortcuts?
No, yeah, true. Yeah, I forgot this one. So we finally know what's up with the workflow team. What have they been working on in the past couple of months since Apple acquired the workflow app and team? We knew they were still there because they were still providing updates to workflow. Small updates though, nothing groundbreaking like they used to do every couple of years. But now they are basically integrating workflow directly into iOS. No words for macOS, but still it's going to be directly integrated into macOS. And it's a smart way to automate stuff you do on your phone without the need of coming up with a workflow like you used to do. So let me explain. Let's say you open iMessage and you text a girlfriend. You go back. Then 6 hours later, you open iMessage, you text girlfriend back, and you go out. Okay. But if you go into that new shortcut section of Siri, you'll see that, there's a suggestion that you can create a workflow that's going to open iMessage and ask you for a message and send a text message to your girlfriend. So without the need of actually writing the workflow, you have suggestions that are already there based on your actions. So it can be simply opening a website every day. Let's say you go to Hipster Pixel every day to see the latest news. You will have a suggestion to create a workflow for that. So you don't need to actually do the work yourself every time. Repetitive tasks are now being automated. So that's the work that they're doing behind the scenes. And the cool thing is that you can call that from Siri directly. So in this case, it's visual, so it's not really the best. But for example, if you go to your living room and you open the TV using smart apps and smart devices, and you close down your Hue lights and you do this and you do that, and after a couple of times, Siri will pick up this pattern and they will offer you to automate this into a single workflow. Therefore, you go to your living room and you say, hey Siri, set up the living room, and whatever name you give it is going to recognize your sentence and going to trigger all of those actions at once.
Yeah, so basically you can give a Siri command to basically anything.
Yeah, any apps, anything like that. And there's also APIs for developers, so they can, I guess, expose some behaviors, some patterns more easily, and have maybe more intricate actions that are requiring you to go through multiple screens in their apps. They can expose that to Siri also. So that's a pretty good idea. If you want to modify those workflows, you have access to all of the workflow components that we had before. So basically the exact same actions, like the whole mega list of actions, and they're already still there. The magic variables are still there. So it really is a complete system level integration of workflow into iOS. So that's pretty neat. For now, the workflow app's still in the App Store. We don't have a shortcut app per se right now. It has to be done through system preference and Siri, but maybe eventually we'll get an app. I think that's what they mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably going to replace come as an update for the workflow app. So everybody who has a workflow will now get this app instead.
You think it's gonna? Yeah, probably, because they're gonna remove workflow.
Yeah, you don't want to lose the app per se, and you want everybody who already has it to continue using it the way they were. So all of your workflows will still be there in the shape of little cards like they are. The UI is very minimally changed. It's only like a fresh coat of paint on top of it, but the rest makes sense.
I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Are you ready for another year of explaining how to say Mojave to people?
I don't care.
It's like the Yosemite year.
Yeah, true. Sierra was easy. Higher Sierra was easy.
It's high Sierra.
It's always higher.
I know. So it used to be Yosemite. People call it Yosemite. Do you have Yosemite installed?
Yosemite?
Yosemite. Yeah, Yosemite here in Quebec.
Yep.
Now we're going to have a Mojave.
Mojave.
Mojave. Yeah, Mojave.
Mojave. T'as-tu Mojave? That's going to be fun, yeah.
T'as installé Mojave?
Or those that are trying to be more Hispanic. Mojave.
What? Yeah, you can do that too.
Yeah, which will be awful. Equally awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun. Like, just hit 10.13. It's going to be easier.
Yeah.
Oh, is it 13? 14?
I don't know. I don't follow anymore since they give him names.
Yeah, let me go about this Mac. Yeah, 10.14. Yeah.
Since the California names, I haven't been following the numbers.
Yeah, numbers mean less and less regarding Apple products. But then again, that's the marketing name also for iOS releases.
Yeah, you're right. The numbers don't mean anything because we have the iPhone X now.
Exactly. But now, next year, well, this September, I'm really, really looking forward to the whole naming convention thing because there is a deep need to change that. As much as they remove all the I's everywhere from iBook and whatever anything. What's up with iPhone 10 next year? Will it be iPhone 10 2, 10 or 11?
But if it becomes 10 2, it's going to be like XY, the iPhone XY. XL, like the iPhone 50 or 40 or whatever.
Yeah, but that's just moving the paint to another numeral system.
Yeah, iPhone XL for the iPhone 10, but like in plus, it's going to be iPhone XL.
Yeah, but X and L is also
it's 40
Roman numerals. It's 40, so it's going to be
iPhone
cumbersome in 30 years.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, and yeah, so that's for that. And that iOS, like, is it going to be like 12, 13, 14, 15 forever? Or are they going to move to like, I don't know, like another like set of animals? Like instead of big cats, it's going to be
small
big dogs.
Birds.
Small birds, yeah. Or large plants or whatever. Like it's all over the place. So they really need to find a way to do that properly. I think I prefer the cats and the landmark to a number, just because it's more easy for people to understand. People can always get confused about numbers. If you tell them, did you have the latest iOS 12? Like, what is 12? Like, is it what I have this year or was it next year? Like, no, just, like, what do you have? I don't know what I have. Like, I have the one with the big icons and this and that and the white backgrounds with no button. Like, it's, so if with a physical name like that, it's better for people. I guess it's easier to have marketing material also, like nice pictures and nice backgrounds and everything. But iOS, they need to fix that. WatchOS 2, tvOS, the number is less important because you rarely do your updates yourself. This thing goes in the background.
The tvOS updates?
Yeah, well, there is a number, but I see it's less prominent.
I know, we just don't even know. It's just there. You open your Apple TV and it changed, so you know there's been an update, but that's it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just waiting for the public beta for my TVs, just because I don't want to break like Infuse or anything else of my setup, so I don't lose access to my entertainment.
How do you install the beta?
You use the provisioning profile, same thing as you do with your iPhone. It's just that instead of doing it with over the air, you do it using a cable to your computer.
Yeah, you don't have
but
that.
I think USB-C cable. But I think there's also a wireless way to do it now. I'm not sure. I remember reading something about that, but I never tried it like that.
And
last time
I'd have to have USB to USB-C, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I can't do that with the cable that's provided with my MacBook Pro because that doesn't allow data. It's only power. Yay, USB-C.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
You try it with your cable that you have for work there, the white one that plugs to the brick.
Yeah.
That cable doesn't do data. It only does power.
Wow.
USB-C.
Well, it's not USB-C. It's the way it's implemented.
I know.
Well, the spec shouldn't allow to have only power, but anyways. Okay. Yeah. Another discussion for another time. Anything else to add on to that WWDC event?
Nope.
All right. So that's it for this week. Thank you for listening. This was RGBA number 92. You can find everything, including the show notes, at rgba.fm/92. You can find us on Twitter at _RGBAfm. And you can find us personally on Twitter at Vallier, VALLIERES.
And Tyler Menard, TYLERMENARD.
And we'll do something special for this episode. If you have listened to the episode up to this point, I would like you to go to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and a comment.
Well, you can do 4 stars also, but just review.
No, there's nothing less than 5 stars. It's 5-star or nothing.
Okay.
But I'm just curious to see how you guys enjoy the show. See what you have in terms of comments. Be frank. I don't care if it's negative or positive. I just want to have some comments and see what's up with our show in your ears, basically. So, yeah. Have a nice week.
Have a nice week.